Hello, financial fitness students. This is our last week here, man. This is crazy. This is awesome. You guys are ready to move on with life and get things going. I'm very excited for you. This set of notes actually has to do with that. We're going to look into renting a little bit here, and then this week I'm going to do these rental notes today, and then the rest of the week is going to be dedicated to your last project in here, which is to buy a house. So kind of those two go together. The first thing in this rental notes is, if you read the part in blue there, is me telling you renting is not always a bad thing. It gets a bad rap. A lot of people try to say, renting is throwing your money away, and why would you do that ever? I don't think renting is necessarily a bad thing. It gives you an opportunity to one, decide if you're in the right location. So anytime you move to a new place, probably a good idea to rent for a year. I'm even saying later in life, even just make sure it's where you want to be. And that's just general good advice. Dave Ramsey always cracks the joke of you got to decide if you're living too close to your mother-in-law when you first get married. So rent a year. There's a lot of truth in that statement, though. Um, Not my mother-in-law; she's awesome. But I mean, I've seen some of my friends that have mothers-in-laws, and I'm like, man, you got to get away from that thing. Uh, sorry, that's terrible. But anywho, renting allows you to save some money too. Like, imagine when you and your spouse first get married. If you rented for the first 2 years and did something like, hey, let's live on my paycheck and bank all of yours and do that for 2 years. You could go into home ownership 2 years later with a $50,000 down payment. Maybe more than that. It depends how much you make, but that would be tremendous to be able to do that. That's advice I wish I could go back and give myself 20 years ago, to my wife and I. Hey, dummies, rent for a while. Don't get out of that. Stay in there, rent for a while, save all kinds of money for your first house. Okay. All right. So if renting is okay, then let's go ahead and give you some advice for renting. All right. The first piece of advice I have for you comes with a nice little story. Only responsible roommates save you money. So when you pick roommates, make sure you pick responsible ones. And I got to share a little story with you here. Uh, when I was at Bowling Green my senior year, it was supposed to be myself, Ryan, and Jason. It was supposed to be the four of us living together in an apartment. Well, Jason, we didn't know this at the time, was on academic probation. And his senior year, or I'm sorry, the end of his junior year at Bowling Green, before his senior year, when he's supposed to live with us, he failed out of college. He got put on academic probation a second time, and that makes him sit out a semester. So we had all signed our rental leases. So what Jason had to do was re-sign or sublease his rental agreement to someone else, and he had to do this in like June after the school year was out. Well, when you look for a roommate in June after the school year's out, you get Floyd from Abu Dhabi. No joke. We got the visa exchange student. From his name was his Americanized name was Floyd. His last name was Abu Shabam, and he was from Abu Dhabi. No joke. You can't make this stuff up. All right, so Ryan, and myself, we get stuck with Floyd, and it was kind of cool at first. We were like, all right, this is kind of neat. We get to get some culture in us and stuff like that. And so Floyd, he talked exactly like Abu from The Simpsons. It was hilarious. He's like, "How do you guys doing? Nice to meet you. My name is Floyd." It was great, man. At first, we loved it. And so we get to know Floyd a little bit. But a month into rooming with Floyd, we got our first phone bill. And back then, we didn't have cell phones where each of us had our own plan. We had to share a one landline between all of us in the apartment. Well, my best friend Ryan, he had the phone bill in his name. Well, Ryan got a $1,800 phone bill after our first month there. And 1,400 of it was Floyd's. The other 400 belonged to Ryan, and myself. I had 100 of it from calling home, and Ryan had the one Ryan had a fiance, so he called her every night. We made fun of him for it, of course, and then the other Ryan had about $100. but 1,400 of it was Floyd's. And I literally, I back then I was all buff. I picked Floyd up by the collar. I slammed him against the wall. I said, "You are paying this." Okay, got on him. "I will pay it. I will pay it. Don't worry. Don't worry." Okay, so Floyd said he'll pay it. All right, we're good here. He called the phone company. He worked some things out with them because he explained to them he didn't understand the plan, and so they lowered the phone bill for him. He paid about, I think he told us he got him all the way down to $200. And so we're like, I don't know if I believe this, but we got our next phone bill. It said balance zero. He paid him. Okay, we're good, man. We're good. So Floyd, you're fine. Well, it turns out Floyd was a stinking diabolical genius. And Floyd got them to delay the charges for 1 year. Well, guess where Floyd was a year later? That's right, Abu freaking Dhabi. That's where Floyd was a year later. He's back in the Middle East in Abu Dhabi, and my buddy Ryan ended up getting stuck. He didn't even know till a couple years later because it got turned into collection agencies. And my buddy Ryan ended up getting stuck paying 1,000. It was like $1,200 of Floyd's phone bill a couple years later. Wow. Now, I don't blame Floyd for being Floyd. Now, don't get me wrong. To this day, if I see Floyd in an airport, I'm going to jump over three people to Superman punch him. But I don't blame Floyd for being Floyd. I blame us for picking an irresponsible roommate that was on academic probation. We should have known better than that. We were 21 years old. It was a second apartment we were renting. Like, we should have known better. We picked Jason on academic probation. That was our fault. That was our stupid mistake of picking an irresponsible roommate to begin with. So be careful. Pick roommates that are not going to stiff you on rent, and they're going to pay their part of the utilities and all that. All right, the next one. Purchase renter's insurance. So make sure you get some renter's insurance. And this is also if you get a dorm room next year, get renter's insurance. Okay, it'll cost you less than $200 for the entire year, and it should be less than that. As far as where to get it, just go to where you already buy your car insurance, or your parents have their homeowner's insurance. Just try there first. If it's more than $200 a year, go somewhere else. It should be pretty cheap. But purchase renter's insurance. Here's why you purchase renter's insurance. Let's drop to the bottom of the notes here, or down at least. Here's some renter's insurance information. So when you rent an apartment or a home, your landlord is going to have their own insurance on that apartment. So why do you need renter's insurance? Well, here's the answer. The first situation here is, suppose you rent a house from Joe Schmo and the house burned down. Does his landlord's insurance cover your belongings? The answer is no, it does not. His landlord's insurance only covers Joe Schmo's apartment, and it'll cover the stuff Joe Schmo owns in the apartment. Like, he might have provided you a fridge, a stove. It would cover that stuff that he owns, but he cannot buy insurance on your stuff. He does not have what is called an insurable interest in your life. So he can't buy insurance for you. Okay? So as far as what his covers, it covers his stuff. It only covers the stuff he owns. All right? And let's go to the next one. All right, so the next part, it says, suppose you rent a home and it burned down and you had renter's insurance. How would your belongings be covered if you had actual cash value coverage versus having replacement cost coverage? All right, so there's two types of coverage you can buy. You do not want cash value coverage, because all that does is cover the current cash value of the item you have. All right, so let's an expensive item you might have in this apartment, a laptop. Okay, if you have a $900 laptop and it's 1 year old, well, that thing's only going to have a value of about $400. Okay, because it's a year-old laptop. You couldn't get more than $400 out of that. Okay, but if you had what is called replacement cost coverage, you would get a brand new laptop, comparable laptop. So you would get a $900 and some laptop to replace that $900 laptop. Okay. So you want replacement cost coverage, and it actually lets you upgrade the item when somebody, when your apartment burns down, and you have renters insurance. So you definitely want this. And I know a lot of you are going, well, I don't have that much stuff. You sure? All your electronic items. Here's a big one. All your clothes. Imagine losing all your clothes to a fire in a rental. Replacing all those is going to cost a ton. So you need renter's insurance because your emergency fund, you don't want to drain it for something like this, and you probably don't have enough in there to cover it. So you need renter's insurance. Okay. So the answer to number 2, I'll let you type it. Actual cash value only covers up to the current value of the item, whereas replacement cost coverage is going to cover replacing the item with a new item. So you actually get to upgrade on that. All right, and then number 3 just says, other than fire, what else does renter's insurance protect you from? Well, I mean, you can think of about any situation. Probably the most common one on college campuses would be theft. Okay, if somebody breaks into your apartment, steals your laptop, your phone, you would get new ones through this. So you got that. You got damage as far as like water damage from if you go on Christmas break and the people above you leave their sink running, or a pipe bursts or something and floods your apartment. Well, that'd be covered. So there's other things other than fire that renter's insurance covers. All right, let's go ahead and jump back up to the top notes here. So number 2 was purchase renter's insurance. Number 3, save money by buying groceries once per week, or maybe even once every 2 weeks. Okay, don't buy these every single week because it'll cost you too much. Okay, and also go together with your roommates when you can. If you're renting, chances are your purpose in renting is to save money. You should have roommates in there. I hope you didn't take number 1 was don't have roommates. No, you should have roommates. Saves you more money. You get to split all the utilities. You get to split the rent. Okay, but make sure you split food up too. It's a great way to do it. You're cooking on Monday, Tuesday you're cooking, Wednesday I'll cook, Thursday you're cooking, and then Friday we're all going out. Do that type of stuff. Saves you money. All right, next one. Never sign a rental lease for a group. You and your roommates should always have your own individual contracts with the renter. Okay, so this is more possible in college towns than it is in Dover or Philly. Okay, around here, it's pretty unlikely that you're going to get individual contracts if you're going with a roommate, to get an apartment. Chances are one of you are going to have to sign for the whole thing, and then you work out how much each of you are paying in that in between yourselves. But in a college town, you can get individual contracts. Make sure you do that. That way, if one of your roommates fails out in the middle of the semester and moves back home, or they miss that girlfriend so much and they move back home, well, then you're not stuck with, oh crap, now 3 of us got to pay the rent that 4 of us used to pay, and our rent just went up $200 each. Okay, no, you don't want that to happen. If you have individual contracts and that same thing happens, well, that's between him and the landlord to pay that part of the rent. You're still paying what you agreed to pay. Okay, so make sure you get individual contracts anytime you can. All right, number 5, be careful with utilities. Make sure every roommate has one in their name. And that's the one, like the Floyd situation I told you about. We couldn't make Floyd put a utility in his name because Floyd was from a different country and no utility company would put a utility in his name. So crap, we had to put him in, Ryan in my name. So that's he kind of had us, man. So make sure everybody gets a utility in their name, and I would suggest getting either the internet or the water bill in your name because they'll be the cheapest ones and they'll be fairly consistent. Let your roommates get the gas bill and get the electric bill because those are going to fly up in the winter. And I don't want you to be in a situation where you sign up for the electric bill and then a couple of your roommates that don't have an emergency fund, you get that spike in the winter, and then all of a sudden they're going, oh, I'm sorry, I don't have that much. Okay, so you get one of the cheap ones in your name so that you don't get stuck, because you're going to be the one roommate with an emergency fund. Chances are your other roommates won't have one. All right. All right. Number 6. This one's a little psycho, but you'll see why. Carefully video the condition of the apartment before you move in. This will protect your security deposit. If you don't know what a security deposit is, when you rent an apartment, they'll always make you pay a security deposit, which is usually equal to 1 month's rent. And what that is, so let's say your rent is $1,000 a month, you'll actually have to give them $2,000 the first month, probably between you and your roommates, but and they hold on to $1,000 of that as a security deposit. The other $1,000 is the first month's rent, and they hold on to that $1,000. Well, the reason they do that is if you damage the wall, or I don't know, you have a party and get stains all over the carpet. Well, they got to replace that carpet. They're going to take that out of your security deposit to pay for that new carpeting. Okay, so that's why they make you have a security deposit. And I know all of you have experienced ageism already in your life. Okay. And you guys are on the side of ageism where you're just a young punk kid and people treat you like that sometimes. So if you video the condition of the apartment and they try to treat you like that punk young kid, and they try to do there's a stain on the carpet, there's a big red stain, and you say, well, that was there when I moved in. They're going to say, nope, that wasn't there. We have it documented. There were no stains on the carpet in the living room. And you won't win that battle unless you have a video. So just before you move anything in, take a real quick 2-minute video of everything that's wrong in the apartment. Oh, there's a crack right by this window. Oh, this screen is busted over here. There's a stain on the carpet. Like, take a real quick room-to-room video before anybody moves anything in, and then you'll have them when they try to get you with the security deposit scam. Now, most renters are not going to do this, but you have a few out there that will. So protect yourself, okay? Especially in a college town, you're going to see this type of stuff happen, okay? All right, number 7. If you own a car, make sure there's plenty of safe parking, okay? Make sure there's plenty of safe parking available, okay? And especially you young ladies, you might find the perfect apartment, and it's in like Cincinnati, let's say, okay? And the apartment's awesome, it's huge, you love it, it's got a great view, the campus is right there, but the parking lot is a block and a half down this back alley. But that's okay, I don't get my car to. No, that's not okay, because now you're a prisoner at night in your apartment, and you might run into a situation where you got a big paper due the next day, you're out of printer ink and it's midnight. Well, I'll just run to my car. No, no, no. Bad idea. Because I'm sorry, if I was a creep when I was 20 years old, I could have ran any of you down. So be smart. Be smart. You fix that decision. You be proactive. You fix that situation before it ever becomes a problem by not picking an apartment that has parking a block away. That's not a choice. Okay, that's not even an option. Just go find another apartment. All right. So be very smart there. Be safe. Okay. Take care of those situations before they're a problem. All right. And number 8 kind of goes along with that. The most important 3 things that I can give you about any real estate transaction, renting or buying. Okay. There's 3 really important things you got to consider. All right. The first one is location. Like, this is huge. Make sure you consider that location. The second one is location. Make sure you consider that location. And if you can't figure out the third one, man, I tell you what, I give up on you. But I'll tell you, it's location. All right. There's a famous quote in the real estate industry. The real estate industry that says the 3 most important things to consider is location, location, location. And man, that's true. Make sure it's a good place. Make sure it's safe. Make sure it's relatively quiet. Okay. Even if you're into the party scene, you don't want to live in the party scene. Like, you want to live where you can get away from it once in a while. So don't live there. Okay. So that concludes my rental notes for most of you. I'm going to shoot one more real quick video just talking to you about on campus versus off campus. So if you're not going to college, don't even watch the next video. You don't need it. So that's your whole day today is just these notes. Go ahead and hit turn in. I'll give you some points for filling out the notes. All right. And then we got one more project after this. I'll give you the rest of the week to do it. It's a buy a house project. It is awesome. The kids always love it. It's very real. It's very fun. And if you want, I'll let you pick a partner for the project. So call somebody that's in financial fitness. And if you want to partner up, I don't care if they're in first period and you're in seventh period. That's fine too. But call somebody that's in financial fitness and partner up with them if you want. And you guys can turn in one project for the two of you. All right. You guys take care.